Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Rex, and I've got something special and different for you guys today. This is League of Legends, obviously, and it was kind of a good game that I got that I thought it would be worthwhile to show it off, but as well to use as a backdrop for an interesting subject that I want to talk about. I actually encountered a couple of theories that blew my mind. That hell, I thought it would be so awesome to show it to you guys and just talk a little bit about it. Now, I'm no scientist, so if I start talking about quantum mechanics, forgive me if I don't know like every single detail about the subject, because that's a pretty badass subject, and I'm just a gamer. But the first subject that I want to talk about, it's quantum entanglement. Now, what this means, the theory says that if two electrons are actually created together, then they are sort of linked to each other, and it doesn't really matter how far these electrons are from each other. They will actually react to each other as if they were just close by. So if you have like an electron on one side of the room and then the other electron that are linked together because they were created together, if they're in one side of the room and the other one on the other side of the room, and you turn the actual rotation of one of those electrons, then the other electron is going to change its rotation as well. So there's this information that's actually being sent from one electron to the other at amazing speeds. Now the thing is, and what blew my mind, is that technically it doesn't really matter how far away these electrons are from each other. You can have one electron on one side of the galaxy and the other one on the other side, and the response time at which they actually respond to a change from each side of the electrons, it's actually instantaneously. So scientists, haven't been able to actually disprove the theory that it's going literally at either teleportation speed or is literally traveling through time. Like, it's that fast. Now, what really blew my mind though is that, if you believe in the Big Bang, then there was a time where every single atom in the universe was singular and was created from each other. So technically, because we all come from that singular atom, we are technically all linked together into this quantum entanglement. So we could literally have the ability of teleport each other whatever we wanted, or just simply communicate with whoever we wanted, whenever we wanted. And also the crazy thing though is that if this is true, then space, not space as in the universe, but distance space, is actually just a flawed perception of our brain and may not even exist, which is pretty crazy actually. So technically we could like all be just like one entity, like the entire universe in itself could just simply be one entity, which is, it blows my mind to say the least just thinking about it. Another awesome theory, it's is that of evolution. Now we all understand the whole theory of evolution and how it works, but there are many things that are just not, I guess, not common knowledge as much as they're just plain weird and not really talked too much about. So the thing is that obviously, as in the theory of evolution, it's understood that we all come from a common ancestor. If you think about it, the way that we actually grow, the way that we actually got born and whatever, we all come from our parents, and our parents come from their parents, and eventually it's gonna hit a couple of just of two people, and that would be the common ancestor for all of us. Now it has been discovered that there is this I guess what it's known as the common ancestor for all of us, which was this woman in Kenya. She lived 140,000 years old ago, and her mitochondrial DNA actually has the DNA of every single person in this world. Now, only like 3,000 years old, we discovered a dude who actually had as well. Like this guy had the DNA of this 140,000 years old woman. He actually had the same DNA as her, so they were talking about this guy being like the common ancestor to like every single person in this world. Now, if you take it a step back and you start thinking about, you know, where this woman who has all the DNA from everyone, you know, where she came from. I mean, after all, you know, we all came from bacteria. So, I mean, if you think about it, we are literally relatives of every single insect or every single animal in this world, or you know, everything that exists, that has, you know, life in this world. We are actually family of it. But then it just gets even crazier, and this is gonna blow your mind, guys. So apparently, like our mitochondria, it's is actually made of a bunch of single cell organisms that bacteria that were actually attached to our body as, you know, we were in the process of evolution. So what this means is that most of our DNA is not actually just simply evolution. Like most of it is just animals that not animals, bacteria that had their own DNA attached to our DNA and then mutated our DNA to make it better. And you know, we're talking about, you know, thousands of different DNA from different bacteria that were added to ours. So as far as we know, we're just made of a bunch of different stuff. But then I'm gonna also take it another notch and talk about I guess, you know, now that I'm referring to this whole evolution thing, it's like if you think about it, so we actually came from the egg of our mother, and that egg was always there, you know, since your mother was a baby in her mother's womb, and that mother also, you know, came from an egg that was there since all that time, and then, you know, that mother was an egg also from her mother. So I mean, in theory, we have always been an egg, you know, thousands and thousands of years. We've always been that egg that has been in that woman's womb. So we have been technically living for thousands of years. It's just that, you know, that those cells that formed us in that egg just decided to form, you know, when you were born. But we've been technically living for thousands of years in those eggs as part of our body. So that's like another thing that also blew my mind, that I was just reading about, and I just love reading about this kind of stuff. But now this one, it's crazy, and it's very complicated to understand. I'm gonna do my best to explain it because there's a lot of theory behind this. Now, so electrons actually behave as particles of mass and as waves. Now the thing is, they have different wavelengths and different I guess oscillations in their wave patterns. The thing is that as we discovered that by looking at the waves in an electron, we actually disrupt the pattern. So we're literally disrupting the patterns of the waves, oscillations of the electrons, just by looking at it. So it's sort of like the electrons know that we're looking at them. So there's this popular experiment called the Copenhagen interpretation. Now the experiment that they did, imagine that you have two walls, right? So in one of those walls you open a hole in the middle. Now let's say that you throw a bunch of paintballs. You have your paintball gun and just start spamming that trigger and just shooting those paintball guns at the first wall. Now some paintballs are gonna pass through the hole and hit the second wall. Now after you shot like in whatever hundreds of paintballs, the first wall is obviously gonna be a mess. It's gonna be full of paint and whatever, but the second hole is going to have a pattern of a circle, right? If it's a hole, it's gonna have a pattern of a circle with paint on it, because just the paintballs that pass through a pattern of a circle from the first wall. Now this happens, you know, this happens like this for matter, for whatever matter that you throw, it's gonna have the same effects. Now if you do this as a wave, for example, if you throw water at let's say a rectangle, it's gonna be easier than a circle. If you just throw a wave of water, or just any kind of wave really, through a slit of the size of a rectangle, then the shape that is going to appear on the second wall in terms of force of the waves hitting the second wall, it's going to be stronger in the middle and then just start fading out as you go to the sides, because obviously the impact of the wave is going to be the strongest at the opening of the first wall's hole. So that's how waves work. Now the thing is, electrons behave as a matter particle, a particle with matter, and as a wave at the same time, and it's going to have the same effect, right? If you throw a bunch of electrons with one slit, a rectangle, then it's going to have the same effect as if you throw paintballs. It's going to have the, in the second wall, it's going to have the line rectangle shaped of, you know, where the electrons actually hit. Now the thing is, and this is the thing that blows people's minds, is that when you put the electrons and you throw them with two slits, right? If the first wall actually has two holes, rectangle shaped, then what normally would happen is that on the second wall it's going to have two different patterns of the two rectangles as you throw them, and that's what happens if you throw paintballs or anything that has matter on it. But instead of doing that, it's actually working as a wave. Now the thing is that it's doing this even if you shoot one electron at a time. So it's not supposed to act like a wave if you're throwing just one electron at a time, because it's just one matter, it's just one singular matter that you're throwing, but instead it's behaving as if it was multiplying, because when it's passing through the two slits, it's actually it's separating and passing through both slits at the same time. A matter of electron is passing through both slits at the time and then forming what would be a wave-like pattern on the second wall. Now the funny part and the thing that blows all of scientists' mind is that when they actually take a look at it to see what's going on, when the scientists put some sort of measure to find out what's going on, like, you know, if they start looking at it, or if they put like a camera on it, or whatever type of measuring system, then the electron behaves like it normally does, you know, like it should do, which would be just passing through one of the holes and forming the two rectangles on the second wall. But then when you stop looking at it, it becomes a wave again, and you know, does whatever the heck it wants. And I'm sorry about all the mumbo jumbo and, you know, scientific babble that I talk about. So just to keep it short and I get to the point, the electron is actually changing its behavior depending on whether we're looking at it or not, which is pretty interesting. Where the Copenhagen interpretation comes is how they actually dealt with this incognito. So the way that they figure it out, or I guess not figure it out, but as much as a theory, they say that electrons, or like everything in this world, works like a system of probability. When we are not looking at the electrons simply they do every single probability of what it could happen. So the electron is gonna go through one slit, then it's gonna go through the other slit, and then it's gonna go through both slits, and then it's gonna go through no slits, but all at one time. So it's gonna do all of the probabilities at just one go. But then when we look at it, they just simply, you know, do whatever happens in real life. So it's more of like I guess sort of like a alternate reality sort of thing, where it's gonna try to do everything at once when we're not looking at it, sort of a probability scheme or whatever. It just blows my mind thinking about it. And it also blows my mind that there really isn't like any, I mean, this is pretty much the approved theory. I mean, it's a theory, so it's not approved, but it's pretty much what most scientists agree on of what this actually means. So I mean, no one really knows why the electrons just like they change behavior depending on whether we're looking at them or not. It's crazy, because if you think about it, what else does that? I mean, does things behave differently when we're aware of their behavior? If we're aware of them, do they behave differently because of that? That is just crazy. But enough of that. I want to enter to the last subject that I wanted to talk about for this video, and that is just the sheer size of the universe. Now, so no one really knows how big the universe is, and mind you, this last subject is not a theory per se. Like This is more of a subject that I feel like talking about because it does interest me. But but we haven't even come close to figuring out just how big the universe is, and also apparently it's growing, or I guess the expansion of the universe is accelerating faster that we actually have accounted for. And even if we do have like an estimate of how big the universe is, its actual size is 20 times bigger than what we actually think the universe is. So honestly, like, we don't even have the slightest clue of just how big the universe really is. Plus, we don't even know what's after, you know, the whole expansion of the universe, because we see the universe as some sort of bubble that is expanding and getting bigger, but outside of that bubble, I mean, we don't even know. So it's even bigger than what we can even remotely start to think about. And I mean, just mathematically speaking, the chances that there's another race out there in the universe that has sentient, brains, that that they understand things, and they have the ability to analyze things like we do. I mean, mathematically speaking, the chances are really, really positive that there probably is another race out there. So we actually discovered not so long ago that not all life forms have to be carbon based like we are, or like 99% of the life forms on Earth are, as they're all carbon based. We actually discovered one that I believe was actually that it was based on zinc, I think it was, so it didn't really need like oxygen and water and all that to survive. It's just based on an entirely different element, and just that thing in itself, I mean, it was a bacteria, by the way, but all in that by itself just says so much in the fact that, because we have been looking for water. We saw Mars, and then we discovered there's like water in Mars, and we were like, oh, there might be life forms. But now we're discovering that we don't need even water for there to be life forms. So that expands the horizons quite a bit in terms of there might be bacteria everywhere, and where there's bacteria, that's life form, and they can evolve into what we are, just as I went through before. And I mean, just by analyzing the sheer size of the universe, again, mathematically speaking, there's most probably aliens out there that have that are sentient and probably analyzed. I mean, just by talking probabilities, that is probably true. And just thinking about it kind of excites me quite a bit, because I mean, I'm a big ass nerd, and I mean, just thinking about there being other life forms out there that probably are somewhere in the galaxy is just, I don't know, it's just thrilling to think about. And the video is coming to an end, and I have talked for so long about random stuff and philosophy and theories and whatever, and honestly, I want you guys to tell me what you think. If you guys could go ahead and comment right down below, what you guys think about the theories, and did I blow your mind, did I not blow your mind, and just your comments and the theories and what you guys think, if there's aliens out there or not. That would be pretty interesting, just hearing your guys' opinion. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this League of Legends game. I've been talking for too long now. It was, I believe, 18 kills, 4 deaths, and 16 assists, so it's a pretty badass game, and I hope you guys enjoy that. And yep, as always, guys, have a nice day, and if you like the video, please like. See ya, peeps. Rex out.